Le damos la bienvenida a Immaculée, que no necesita más presentación. Nos va a contar un poco de su testimonio de vida, que seguramente nos va a llegar al corazón y nos va a dejar profundas lecciones. Y bueno, darle paso a ella y apagar los celulares para que no vayan a hacer ningún tipo de interferencia. Please, Immaculée.
Thank you so much. I hope you can hear me. My voice is not so loud. I always need help. So it is such a great joy to be here, and I was told I'm going to speak to a very important group this morning, business people, and I hope you come to my country. I hope you come to help us. We have gone through such a hard time, and the people are very open. I was discussing with a few people a few minutes ago. Actually, I do take people to Rwanda twice a year. So if you ever think about coming, please, I would be so happy to take people from Uruguay. So I'm writing to my friends in Rwanda, my brother, I'm in Uruguay, like, where? But all he wants to find out is, like, how is soccer, the football? My brother is crazy about football. Like everybody in Rwanda, actually. So from Chile, he was asking me, ask about Alex. Somebody? Like one football player, you know. Here he was telling me the names. I'm like, I really don't think about that one. But it is such a great joy, but more than anything, knowing where I come from, the story I lived through, how close I was to die, and to think that there's a plan of God, that you can be so close to go, actually can bring you back here and to be able to share the lessons of the genocide. It is just beyond me. I am grateful every day. And I almost feel like this is a bonus time of my life. So I am hoping I can use it for the good. One of the biggest lessons I learned in the genocide is that we are really all here to serve. You know, the biggest task we have as human beings is to love one another and to be there for other people, to do something. If our lives is used just for selfishness, it is all useless. When I remember people who died during the genocide and my parents, when I think about them today, and when I talk to other people, the things we remember of them are not, like I was saying, the things I remember of my parents, and really I'm saying this because they are big lessons for me. When you see 1 million people dying, when you see friends, neighbors go, it teaches you a lot. I don't think I live with the same view, perspective I had before, like I do now. So the things I remember of my parents now is not the cars they bought after 10 years of working so hard to make sure they can have a car for the family, or the house they built in 10 years that was destroyed in 5 minutes. The things I remember of them is the night my mom couldn't sleep because I was sick. The night my dad had to drive somebody, a neighbor who was pregnant, to take them to the hospital. Like the action of love is really what stays behind. The time my brother took his shirt out of his back and gave it to a friend, those are the things that touches me. Those are the things I teach my children. Those are the things people from Japan, from South Africa, from different corners of the world write to me and say, your mom inspired me to be a better mom. So I feel like my parents are still here, are still living, even much stronger. But that teaches me what is it that matters today. The work we do in our businesses, are we doing it just to earn, or are we doing it to think about people around us? How they're going to benefit from that? How it is going to be so good? Am I being a teacher to really care for those kids? So when there is love, it really lives forever. It was so many lessons I learned, one of them being really love, and why am I here on earth? If I die today, what will I take? What will I regret? Regret that I have not loved, I have not cared. But if I die knowing that I was trying my best for my family, I would think I'm done. I've done what I can do. Another big lesson, as maybe many of you heard and have seen in my stories, is forgiveness. It is huge for me. As simple as that is, I used to think you forgive somebody who says something or just take a pen from you. But now someone's been trying to kill you. I thought, at least for the movies I saw, to be a hero, you have to revenge. And that was just the right thing to do. When I went through the genocide, and the time came when hatred, anger, revenge, all these bad thoughts, how poisonous they went on my body. I'm literally thinking, oh, what is happening to my body? I'm only thinking, but I'm sweating out of anger. I'm only thinking these bad things, and my heart is running faster. How does my body respond to this? So that is really when I started to feel scared. I couldn't remember how to smile because all I had was those anger with good reasons. So when even the idea of forgiving came in my heart, it was just like heaven. That I can find a way to think and have peace with what's going on and with the way I'm thinking, I'm taking it in peace. And as I shared last night, I'm so grateful to hear people who say, they are my reasons to continue to speak and have this passion too. People who tell me, I will heard you speak, and I called my mom after 20 years of not speaking to her. And we completely forgot the argument we had. And one lady told me, I cannot believe how much affection I wasted from not having my mom for 20 years after I blow up. And sometimes I would never know what touched people. And that's the grace of God. Huge. And God is for everybody, as you think, you know. The other day yesterday, 2 days ago, it feels like a week ago, I was in Chile. And one lady, I never forgot, she came to me after in the room, she pushed the door and she said, she looked like the students, but she said, I'm not a child, I'm not a student. And she said, I have 5 kids. And she was crying and she told me, we lost everything material, the house, the money. I'm now literally living on the street with my 5 kids. And she looked at me, she said, but I just got it. It will be fine. I know for sure we are going to go through this and we'll be fine. I'm like, what happened? Whatever happened, when you spoke, I just got it. I'm fine. It will be fine now. And I just praise God when I see something like that happening. It is my prayer. I spoke now, I'm speaking to businessmen and women. I remember I was in San Diego a year ago. I was speaking to 120 people, business owners, and I'm talking about God and the rosary. I'm like, what are they going to get from my story? But they invited me. And after I spoke, 2 of them came to me and told me, different occasions, they said, we just sent a text to our lawyers to drop the lawsuits. We were studying. All of them were suing, 2 of them suing somebody, they just stopped it. And the pain of somebody being sued, who is going to have that break, I was just so happy that happened, whatever changed in their hearts. So I'm so grateful to be able to share my story. I'm grateful to God that I can just be that little tiny help. And we all have, I'm sure, our contribution in the world. But to be left behind and to be able to see that there is a reason, there is that little meaning to your life, it is really makes everything worth it. So you saw the documentary, The Genocide Started in 1994. I was a student in college. I was doing engineering. And look at what I'm doing today, writing books and speaking. And I was home for Easter holiday. And I thought I would go back to school a week later. On Wednesday, my brother, who had just finished his master's degree, my parents, we come from a poor area, but my parents were like, you have to go to school. I mean, school was number 1 for them. You have to make sure you go to school, then you can have a choice in life. So they sold lands, they sold cows to be able to send us to school. My dad was a director of Catholic schools, and my mom was a teacher. So it was so important. I'm grateful that I can be here because I went to school. My brother came to me and told me that morning that the president of the country died. I jumped out of the bed. It was about 6 in the morning, and I told him, they will kill us. Why I say that, you saw in the documentary, there is a radio that we used to call hate radio, literally created by the leaders of the country to spread hatred among people. because people love each other. There's nowhere people look different or have different tribes will just get up and want to kill each other. There is always somebody behind it, powerful for their own self-interest, that they will sneak in and find a way to make people fight. Sadly, mostly politicians, for their own self-interest. And that's what they created. So they knew the radio will spread the hatred. I remember the journalists used to say things like, those people, the Tutsi, have you looked at them? They're not human beings. And they will laugh. They will say, give me scotch, give me whiskey. They will pretend like they're drunk so people can hear them. They will say all nasty jokes that attracted young people. You want to hear the next thing they're going to say. And then they will say, they have horns, they have tails. They will laugh. And everybody like, wow, where this radio came from? So slowly, people started to look at us like we're bad things to make fun of. And literally, you have to look down because you don't have no one to report to. Because it was a government behind it. But they say it was private. They don't know where it's coming from. People in the UN were in Rwanda. You know, maybe Romeo Dallaire, Canadian, who was the head of military of the UN, he wrote a book about Rwanda called Shake Hands with the Devil. He said he literally shook hands with the leaders of the country at that time, who he considers, I have seen the devil in their eyes. So this man will beg, break the radio. They won't do anything about it. Another thing that prepared us, you are in South America, you maybe you know about Our Lady of Guadalupe, the impact that lady can have in a country. You know about Lourdes, Fatima, Mary have appeared in Rwanda in 12 years before the genocide in a place called Kibeho. It was followed by the church. I mean, like, as you know, the church don't like these things. They really want, forget about it. We have enough ground to be Catholic, to be church. We don't need apparitions. But it was happening in the public, and they had to follow to investigate it. It was attracting the country. Police have to be there with these high school kids who are on their knees saying they're speaking to the Mother of God, who gave them an appointment when she will come. I mean, they will burn their skin, they won't feel nothing in front of people, as long as they sit talking to her. One of the things Mary told the kids in 1981 until 1989 was that a horrible thing was going to happen to our country if we did not come back to love one another, to respect one another, to forgive one another, if we did not come back to respect God. And of course, everybody said, what? Is it true? How this can happen? And she begged and she said, if you don't believe in this, at least believe in the Bible and put it in practice. She sent messages to the president of the country, who was Catholic, and said, my child, let the refugees come back inside the country. We had 1 million refugees who have left 50 years before and who were living in camps for 30 years, most of them, and have not been able to be allowed to come inside the country. And then one message she sent him, he said, I will protect you. Let my children come back inside the country. God will give them what to eat. Just focus on doing the right thing. Do the loving thing. I will be there for you. He was scared that maybe his people would kill him if he let the Tutsis come back inside. He didn't do anything. She sent messages to the leaders of the churches, any church. And she said, my children, teach quickly about love, about forgiveness. Nothing was done. For us, lay people, she told us, pick up your rosaries, those who prayed, pray for the peace of the country. And of course, many did. Others were like, what? Is she really? Can we do that? Even just those who believe in it, pray for the peace of the country. And why really I speak about it is really, it taught him one thing. We have the capacity to change our future because we can pray and have faith. That was huge for me. She said it does not have to happen. If you come back to respect one another, to love one another, to pray hard, you can change what is coming. Another thing she said, if I'm speaking to you, it doesn't mean I'm only addressing to Rwanda, not even just Africa, but the whole world. Every lesson I'm teaching here concerns every human being, not Catholic, not Christians, every human being. So that was a huge history, and actually in 2001, the Vatican, after every prophecy warning came through, the Vatican approved the apparition. So it's a big thing. It's the most visited place in the whole country now. So it's not something you can ignore. I mean, Mary requested a basilica that can hold 45,000 people. So, and she gave the measurement, how big she wanted it. So it's a big part of our history now. So all that we knew this can happen. And I thought about all that she has said. I said, this is it. I met my parents who were so worried. I remember by the end of the day, we had so many people coming home. Second day, we had about 10,000 people. And BBC Radio was reporting people dying. 10 children and mom and dad have been killed. 8 children and mom and dad have been killed. Over and over, just how many died. And I remember my dad one time, he said, this never happened before, where they killed the whole family. Before they killed mostly, sadly, men. You know, they thought they wanted to defend their families, and somebody who is in the leadership or who have studied well, who might challenge them, or they will kill people who went to school as Tutsis. But not a whole family. And that's why they call it a genocide. You know, the attempt to eliminate everybody. They have prepared it, home by home. They knew where people were, and they had to kill everybody. I remember at the second day, my father came to me. I was one girl among 3 boys. He handed me a rosary and asked me to leave right there, to go to a neighbor who was from the Hutu tribe and who was a Protestant pastor. I come from a Catholic family, and this was a Protestant pastor who is from the Hutu tribe, supposedly different from us. But I always remember that really was a huge impact on me. My dad used to tell us, do not judge people. Do not put people in boxes, because they come from that place, that religion, that country, that state. He said, make an effort. The easiest thing is to see somebody who looks like people you don't like and say, everybody's like that. He said, make an effort. That is the temptation of the devil. He said, if you judge people and you put them in the boxes, you will miss out many angels in your life. You don't know who God is going to send you when you need it the most. So he always opened his heart to be friends to people. And I'm truly here because he trusted somebody who was supposed to be our enemy. So I went to the man. It was so hard to leave. I truly left out of obedience to my father. I didn't want to go, but I just had to go because he said, go now. And I knew he wanted to protect me. Only thing I left with was a rosary. I remember looking back and feeling that something was telling me, you will never see them again. It's over. But the worst thing was to ask myself, why? Why can you be born a certain way, something you have not chosen, and somebody want to kill you for that? I mean, you don't choose why you were born here. This was your gift. Where you come from, it is only given by God, by nature, if you want to call it so. Why would anyone want to kill you for such a thing? It was so hard to accept. Because by that time, I really thought people are reasonable. At least when I learned home to reason, to make good decisions. But I left. I went to the neighbor. I remember he put me to sit in a tiny bathroom, 3 by 4 feet. I looked at that place and I said, I can't fit here. It's too small for me. Well, he went back and brought 5 more women. Then later he brought 2 more women. It was like every step of the genocide was giving me lessons, and that was a big one. You know, when you think things are bad and you start complaining, who did what and that, it can get worse. And better take it easy, no matter what that is, and work with what you have. Because if you complain, it doesn't change. But maybe you can try to find a solution to what's going on calmly. Then there is hope. He brought these women. The youngest was 7 years old. The elder was 55. We were literally sitting on the top of each other. And we had the kids sitting on our lap. The man told us not to speak to one another, not to make any noise, not even to flush the water of the bathroom until somebody was flushing the water of the bathroom. I remember by the end of the week, I was tired. I thought I had had it. I had anger I cannot put in words. Anger that burns your skin. I am thinking, as I'm saying, and I will be sweating out of anger. Just thinking, okay, when I come out, I will be a soldier, I will throw bombs, and I will never talk to them, I will never do this and that. And my heart is just like racing with all the anger of all you can do. I'm like, okay. The worst thing when you're angry like that, it really becomes a sickness. It takes over. You go and you end the cycle and you start again. And I'm thinking, I'm suffering, but I have a good reason to be angry. But who is suffering? It's me, even more. So, but I don't know how to do with that, how to deal with that. It was really painful. When the man came to give us food at the end of the week, I remember I grabbed his feet and I asked him to put a radio outside so I can hear what's going on. He was kind, he put 3 radios, different channels. I could not believe what was going on. National radio, BBC radio, the other hate radio, we could not believe what was going on. The leaders of the country, who used to tell us, be good to one another, they were out, laughing, giving prizes to people who killed more. Even more if you killed them by machete, because you didn't have to waste any gun. And I'm thinking, these are people who had PhDs. These are people who are smart. How can they think that way? My parents, like I said, they used to tell us, go to school, you can make better decisions. That really was another kind of piece of lesson to realize that if you don't have the values, the heart, the love, the faith, these can only damage. But these together, there's love, they can make miracles for sure. To use your brain to make better decisions, but directed by love, but directed by the care of other people. This man, especially, who was on radio, he was actually a father of one of my girlfriends from high school. He went on radio and said, do not forget the children. A child of a cockroach is a cockroach. A child of a snake is a snake. And I'm like, how can he? He have children. But whatever he was going through his mind, that's what he was saying. So they said how they killed people who run to stadiums. So they will go around the stadiums. Rwanda is warm and actually very, perfect weather, like 25, 30 in Celsius throughout the year. And all the stadiums are open. So they will go on the stadium, on the edges, and throw hundreds of grenades inside where people have run to. They will go to churches where they run people inside, thousands of people, put holes on the church, put gas and put fire and burn people. And they are talking about it on a national radio, not anymore on hate radio disguised. People with their voices. And I remember thinking, how can they not think, know that this cannot just go like that? Where did it work ever in the world? Where somebody who is bad and hurting people have just gone free and happy forever and ever. How come they can't see it? Something was blind in their mind. Their judgment had been completely clouded the way they were thinking. So then they gave an order, there was for us, to go home by home to see if there's anyone hiding in any home of the Hutus. Because they knew there were many great people who would be hiding people. I never forgot the day they came to the house, because they made a group of 300 to 400 people in every village who would go home by home every day and come back again, being paid, given things to smoke, given meat to be stronger, and they would go. That's all their job. They dressed in banana leaves, and they had long spears, machetes, guns, and they would just come home by home singing. It was like a gang, nice songs, a great melody. But like, kill them, don't forget the children, don't forget elder people, we are cleansing our country. You were like, what is that? The first time they came, I remember, I saw them through the little window of the bathroom, because they came quiet, they made a circle of the house, and then they started to scream, so that no one jumps out of the window, so they will catch them. I saw them, I thought was 1,000, they were running through the window like this, and the small thing, in banana leaves, scary. And I remember feeling pain. I cannot put it in words. You know when you know that they're going to cut you any second, and they're going to cut you into pieces, and for what? That was worse pain. For what? You are told to behave, to do good, to avoid crime, to avoid what can put you in trouble. But now you are just in trouble because you are who you are. It was the worst pain to imagine that. I remember feeling like I am laying down in a fire and fire is burning me and I'm not dying. Like 1,000 needles are going through my body over and over and it's not killing me. Like you want to die, but it's not coming. And then I remember feeling like I had two voices over my shoulders. Nothing too strange, things we go through when we are facing a challenge. And one voice is telling me, open the door, end the torture. This is too much. And it sounds like me being reasonable. I really want to open the door. And I felt like there was a nicer voice now telling me, do not open the door. Ask God to help you. Remember the God you learn from home, from your church. Ask God to help you. But who is God? What can he do? It's too late. And something said, God is almighty. You know what that means? He can do anything. They might find you, they might not be able to touch you. They might touch you, they might not be able to see you. If God wants, think of what is possible in the eyes of God. Remember Daniel in the den of lions. Lions could not even eat him. That is what God is capable of. Don't think of what human. That is so good because it was giving me hope. In my pain, when there is hope, pain reduces. There is hope. There is joy. Hope brings joy. And then all of a sudden, this bad voice managed to destroy that little hope I had now. There is no God. I lost my faith. The time I needed it the most. I could not remember, how do you talk to God? How can you trust? How can you believe that people, 300 to 400 people, searching in a 4-bedroom house, how can you think in human intelligence that they will miss one door? It's impossible. I forgot how to trust in God. How do you talk to him? Where is he? And I remember the nicer voice, something was like, if you don't trust him now, you don't believe in him, at least ask him for a sign to show you that he can hear you. You might not understand how God works. You might not understand how things are. And that's a lifetime task too, to know and to figure out little things about God. But if we believe, at least that's a huge beginning. I wanted a sign just for me to know he's there, and then I can hold on to one word by word of what I remember about him. I remember asking God, not as a Christian, not as a Catholic, forget about the names, from a father, this creator so big, to this little tiny me, his child. I remember asking him, if you are there, if there is somebody who have created this world, as I heard, if there is someone who controls my breath, if there is someone who made this skin of mine, I am begging you, just show me a sign that you can hear me. Even if I die, at least I can die in hope. And I remember asking him, I want a specific sign. You know, when you ask for, it's funny, people are funny. We ask for something that helped me, and when that thing happened, you go like, no, it was my friend. It wasn't God. And then you lose what you were asking for. Me, it wasn't like I want that thing more than to know where did it come from. I wanted to have the hope in this one, because if one thing works, then 10 things will work. I know where they're coming from. I wanted to know, can you hear me? You're not talking back, but show me a sign you can hear. I remember asking God, if you are there, don't let the killers find the door of the bathroom. If they don't find it in a 4-bedroom house, just do it for me today. Know that I'm better than anyone. Know that I won't die. In the end, we all die. Innocent people are dying. Just today, if they don't open this door, I will notice you who did it. I mean, if it was to save me, you could save me by blinding them, by them forgiving us. But don't let them open the door. If you can hear me. The good God, I think he knew I couldn't handle that conversation with the bad voice and the good. I fainted, no kidding. I wish this was just a story. This is the truth. I could not hear one thing until 5 hours later, the man who was hiding us, he opened the door. We all jumped.
And he said, oh, they left a long time ago. You could have told us much earlier. Because we thought they were still in the house. We were like this for 5 hours. We thought it was like 5 minutes. Time didn't matter what it did. We heard them coming, we were frozen. And then 5 hours later, we're still like this. So he told us what happened. They searched everywhere. In the ceiling of the house with flashlights and ladders. They went on the roof of the house to make sure no one lies down there. Or they found the people every day in different places. Or they were talking, who they killed, who they found. Children were crying to death outside of the house, whom they're killing outside. They went in every room, in the closets, not too many rooms. They didn't have a basement or in the second floor. They went in a closet, they opened suitcases to make sure there was no babies hiding. That's how thorough they wanted to make sure there's no one left. And they told the man, we will come back. This is not the end. Anyone can come in anytime. And then one of the killers, some of them came in his room, and one of them literally went to the bathroom door and touched the handle. He touched it. He's about to open. And then he looked at the pastor and he said, you know what? You are a good man. You are one of us. There's no way you can hide these bad people. You are a good citizen. And he turned around and he left. When the man told us, he said, I was sweating, I was shaking. I don't know what he couldn't find in my face. That was the place. And I remember he said, I don't know how you're praying, what are you praying, but whatever you are doing, keep doing it. I was so happy, but the most happiness, truly, and I'm not trying to convert you, this is really the truth of my story. What really made me happy more than anything was to know that without a shadow of doubt, there is God. Now, if I don't have my parents, I know who to talk to, who looks in your heart, who can hear you, even when nobody else is listening. And it was a little bit scary. Now that I know God is there, I didn't speak. I only thought, and I was praying from within. And he heard me. The scary part was that, so if he's there, which I know now, he can hear everything from within. He can look everywhere. So we really don't have any privacy. That was a little scary. And I'm thinking, he knows all my anger, everything I'm going through. I'm killing people. I'm one of the killers outside. People inside, I'm killing people. I'm going to be a soldier. I'm going to do this. All of that. He knows, and now I'm talking to him. It was a little bit scary. But I started to speak to God, like I'm talking to you now. I would tell him, I am angry and I have good reason. I hope you know. And I asked the man to give me the Bible, not to read like trying to be good, you know. I was reading like you read a book. And you go back to the first story. How come this thing don't match with the first story? What did you mean here? Highlighting, go back. Who are you exactly? How do you do things? I remember reading through the story of Job and thinking, you loved him? And this happened to him? So you mean good people can go through bad and you still love them actually? Oh, okay, so he behaved this way, he was still faithful to you, but I want to kill people. So that was just kind of giving me an idea who God was. I remember thinking a little bit of our origin, where did we come from? Well, God created us. I wanted it as simple as possible. Then how long do we be here? Let's say 100 years. So read now in the Bible, where do we go? Well, there is a chance for hell, and there's a chance for heaven. But I didn't want to read much about hell. I know it's hell. I wanted to know more about heaven. What is heaven? What is so attracting there that can really arouse my wanting to go there, to work for that? And I remember reading about heaven. The roads are diamond and gold. There's no more getting older. There is just happiness. And every day is joy and happy forever and ever. No more dying, no more sick. And I was like, this is nice. This is really good. And then I remember thinking, how long is it? Forever and ever. That's long. For billions and zillions of years, I remember taking a pen. That's how I wanted to break it down. Taking a pen and drawing, let's say this is the length of 100 years. And now let's draw long, like eternity. And this goes like this, and this, and that, and that, and that. It fills the paper, it doesn't end. Then I'm trying to compare them in the same color. I'm like, so this compared to this, I'm a student in college. I know how to count, and I know how to choose what is better. If this is bigger and happier, what's wrong with me? That actually I'm paying more attention to this tiny thing compared to this. Because this compared to eternity, let's say 100 years, we'll reach there, but this becomes like a dot on a map compared to eternity. This becomes like a blink in a lifetime compared to eternity. That comparison alone started to make things, put things in perspective. Why do I care so much about this? Let me see what I can do here can take me here. And every page I opened the Bible, it was about forgiveness, and I would close the page because I don't want to know about that. Because I was confronted by forgive, then you can go there. I'm like, no, my situation is different. I will open another page, it will like, love your enemies. Oh no, God, please don't ask me that one. Let's go to the next page. Pray for those who persecute you. No, let's go to another page. Everything was about love your enemies and this, and to a point where I said, okay, but I don't know how. How can you do that to someone who is killing you and killing your family and trying to kill you is not even done, like you can forgive something that is past. As I'm going through that, I started to pray because Mary used to tell us, pray your rosary every day to help you understand life, to help you to get help in your daily struggles. Blessing will come if you pray your rosary daily, every day. So I said, let me pray it. To tell you the truth, I say the rosary, it takes like 15 minutes. I mean, every bead, for those who don't know about it, this every bead just represents what prayer to say. It is already prearranged. Thank God for whoever put it together was in a good state of mind, because my prayers was send them to hell, kill them. And I thought I was praying. But then when I pray this prayer that takes about 20 minutes, it's like, say Hail Mary here, say Our Father here, think about this here. And my job is just to be there, to think about the words and mean them from the heart. I remember going through this prayer, which I said every day. At one time I counted how many rosaries I said. I said 27 rosaries every day. We could not speak to each other for all the time. So I have to find what to think, what to entertain myself inside. The only thing that could give me peace was the prayer. When I was myself, it was fear and anger. I'm like, I can't take it. Let me pray, just to feel good. So one prayer that confronted me, that really made every change in my life was Our Lord's Prayer. I'm going through this, Our Father, that alone. I said, what am I saying? Because now I don't want to lie to God who sees in my heart. He looks everywhere, so I better be clear and truthful. Our Father. But that will mean the Father of everybody. And the Father of the bad guys who are killing us. I cannot be. He is only the Father of the good people. I ought to own God. And then I felt like something was telling me. It was such a moment of reflection. Silence is the best thing. If you really want to get yourself to reflect about life, about what you do, so many ideas comes. And I think that was a gift in that bathroom, to be silent. As I'm thinking about those words, I said, let me think. My parents had 3 brothers. If one of them does wrong, does he stop being the child of my dad? No. Actually, my father will be thinking about the bad one more than the good ones. I didn't want God to think about the bad ones at all. But at least I can accept that they are also his children, no matter how bad they are. Because I want to be sincere in my prayers. Our Father, who art in heaven, the Father of the bad and the good. And I remember going through this part of the prayer. Forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. I could not say those words. Knowing God is looking in my heart, no way. I will be lying to you. As I forgive, anytime I said those words, it was like a whole picture of 8 million Hutus. I cannot forgive them. I cannot say forgive me as I forgive them. No. Then one time I said, how am I going to do? I don't want to lie to God. And something suggested to me, well, you can skip that part of the prayer. Then you don't have to lie to God, which I did, and I felt so much better. I kept praying like that, skipping that part, until one day I was about to skip it again. I felt like something was nodding my shoulders, and something is reminding me, hey, I hope you know our Lord's Prayer is not man-made. It's Jesus himself who said, pray this way. The one you believe is God. The one you believe cannot make a mistake. The one you believe knows the past and the future, not that he wills a genocide, but he knows what can happen. If he said, pray this way, it means he knew anybody can. If you can't, doesn't mean this is wrong. It's just that you are somewhere, you can't understand it. You can't get there. I can say this laughing today, but my whole world was crumbling. The things we believe in is really what upholds us in life. It was the first time I understood the meaning of surrendering. I went on my knees. I don't know if I had any place to kneel, but that how it felt like. And I put my hands up, all my will, all my holding on, all my anger, all my no, I know, I just put it down and I begged God, if you know how to forgive, help me out. I don't know how. I don't have to lie to you. I don't know how to forgive. I am a mess. I am completely don't know how. And I was hard to accept knowing what's going on. And I begged him, I want to be in good terms with you because I want to trust everything you said and I want to hold you accountable for the words you said. You say for those who believe, all things are possible. If you have trust, small as a mustard seed, even mountains will listen to you. But to have that, you also have to be in a good state of mind. You also have to do your part to trust. And I could not trust with that anger. You can't tell somebody, give me, but I will hold on to mine. I want to give you, but you can give me. That's how I felt like God is saying, okay, be willing, and I will give you what I promised. So I begged him, help me out. And I started to put back that prayer, just willing, as obedient, not because I knew how. Until one day, I was meditating on a part of the rosary, which was when Jesus is dying on the cross. I remember looking at that. He's on the cross. I mean, forget about movies that really don't show much, or the cross we see in the church. He was human. He must have been swelling in his body. His blood is falling down all over around him. He must have been in pain and crying. And I was just like wanting to see. He must have been shaking and trembling. And his mother is right there, is watching him. You know what that pain is like? I mean, this is not just about Christianity. This is a history. Somebody called Jesus existed in our world, whom I believe is my God, but he existed in our history. And he died like a criminal he was not. And I'm thinking about that and, ooh, at least I'm hiding, but he's dying. And I remember feeling like I'm asking him, why did you let that happen to you? Why couldn't you come like just a rich man and a pope and dress nice and bodyguards? Could have been nice. Nothing wrong with that. But why did you accept this? I felt like Jesus was speaking back to me, reminding me, I went through this because I loved you. I went through this to show each one of you. If you are ever rejected, if you are ever go through what I went through, or even close to what I went through, if you are not well loved, remember I was there before you. I could have changed it, but I held on to my belief, to my truth, to my love, just as a human being, and I still died for that. That's how important in what I believed in, to save you and to give you an example. I love you, and what you're going through, I went through worse. And when I felt that, you see, the worst things with people who go through rejection, like what I went through, the worst thing is not even that you are going through this tragedy. The worst thing is that you end up somewhere believing people who hate you, People who are telling you you're too big, you're too small, you're too tall, you're too short, you end up believing them. It shakes you, your beliefs, your peace. I thought maybe they're right, maybe we're not human beings, who knows? Maybe some truth, what they see, I can't see. And that kills your self-esteem. You look at Jesus, you say, he was God, and yet he went through it too. So I'm not that bad. Even if I was bad, he said he will forgive me. So I don't have to see myself as low in any way possible. And that brought me back. Then I remember the last words when he said, forgive them, Father. They don't know what they do. It wasn't the first part. I was completely a student in the college trying to make an equation and find an answer to that. I want to forgive. How do you forgive? It wasn't the first part, forgive them, Father. I wanted to forgive. I just didn't know how. But the second, they don't know what they do. It was like Jesus was telling me, people who are trying to kill you, they don't get it. They're trying to accomplish something in a wrong way. They want to appease their anger, their selfishness, by hurting themselves, actually. By doing something that will hurt them more than getting what they want. They don't even think of the consequences will come on them, their families. Who can live with killing any human being and feel good about it? One guy outside of the bathroom, once time he said, he killed for 399 people by machete, and he wanted me to be the 400. A man I went to school with, I can easily call friends. How come they don't see that is wrong? That they will live through the consequences? Jesus was like, they don't get it. And you trying to become like them, it does not help. You are only going to increase all the madness. When I got that, you know when you just found out 1 + 1 is 2? And you cannot reverse that knowledge, you know it already, it's too late. It was exactly like that. I could not think of the killers anymore like smart people, they got me, they know what they're doing. They're just crazy, almost. And I felt a huge release that I don't have to fight to become like them. Then I remember still thinking, well, they're still bad. They still have to go to hell because they're evil. They cannot change. And I felt like our Lord was asking me something, and I want to ask you, who among us have not done one thing, said one thing or two, and in the moment you think you are all okay? A week later or a year later, you think about what you did and you go like, oh, what's wrong with me? How can I say that? How can I say to my wife, my husband, my children, my friend, how can I do such a horrible thing? When I remembered that I do things I regret, and actually I can see later it was wrong, that's when I thought, everybody has a capacity to change. Who am I to say, I can change because my sins are small, but the one who killed can never see truth. My worst problem, and I think this is our worst problem, is that we really think people are evil, and we write them off. I cannot deal with that evil person. These have to go to hell. But when you realize somebody actually is only have done evil or doing evil, but actually have the capacity to change and be good as you can be, do bad and do good, that was it for me. I started to pray for them because I realized my prayer that can protect me from the bathroom, why not pray for them too to change? And if I profess to love God, who is supposed to be the father of everybody, how can I love a father and say, but some of you children are terrible and I hate them? I mean, bring it to our level here. There are fathers here. You have 5 kids, you have 8 kids. And somebody say, I love you very much, but your child, oh, horrible, I hate that child. It won't work. You won't love that child. It is really something to remember. And I have to remind myself, in the secret of my heart, even with my thoughts, when I look at people, be careful what you think about because their dad is watching. You better be nice to my child if you want me to be nice to you. And from there, I truly started to pray for the killers. Not because somebody's looking, because God is looking inside. And I know He loves them as He loves me. And He's crying for the bad they're doing. So if you love a father and the child is doing wrong, as a good sister or a brother, what you do to please the father is to go to tell the child, hey, change. If one of my brother did wrong to please my parents, I would go to them and say, can't you see mom is suffering? Can't you see dad is suffering for your actions? Change, do something better. Please behave. That's what a good child, the father will be proud with. And it's the same with God. He's there as a parent, and that's how really we can live in peace in the world. Truly to see each other as brothers and sisters. And I felt complete forgiveness in that moment. It wasn't like I thought I'm trying to accomplish forgiveness in that way. What I felt was, where was bitterness, was peace. I felt incredible freedom, peace to be able to live and think of my life, detached emotionally from, I will do this, I will do that. I felt my brain can air now. I can think of me. I can think of my future. I started to think, I will find a job. What if I find a job with people who speak English? I better start learning English now. I started to learn English in the bathroom because I thought I don't have any moment to lose. And I had time now because I was not angry. The anger left my brain. I can think of my business now. I can love myself a little bit more. And what I felt is, most of the time when we are angry, when we try to forgive, we think if I forgive them, it means I'm going to embrace and then forget about it. No, we have to be smart. We have to be discerning. We have to make sure that we protect ourselves. It doesn't mean that when you forgive, the person have changed. It can be that person who is still trying to kill. But what changed my heart was, even if I might wish them to go to prison, to be held by justice, I didn't want them to hurt like me or more. I wanted them to change so that they can be outside when they are good people, more than when they try to kill other people. So there was hate became love, no matter what decision have to be taken. If somebody is a rapist, they don't see what they're doing. For heaven's sake, they need to be roped somewhere so they don't continue to hurt people. But what changed my heart was the intentions I had towards them. I felt so happy. We spent 3 months in the bathroom. The first, I wish I knew it was going to be 3 months. I mean, I thought many times we'd die that day. We never spoke for 3 months. We were completely, everyone like this. We have lost weight. When I went in, I was 115 pounds. When I came out, I was 65 pounds. Every bone was out. These 2 bones, in school they used to say we have 2 bones here. I'm like, who have seen it? Really, do you want to go to unbury people and bring them out and to see? You have 2 bones here, or it was separated. I can touch between the bones. And I was like, this is true, they were right. This is big and this is tiny. It was just like you watching yourself as a dead person. And yet, inside my heart, I was so much bigger. I felt more beautiful, and outside I'm a skeleton people are running away from. Oh, look at that. And inside I'm like, can't you see me? I have grown, I have become better because I had peace. When I came out, the very first night I came out, I was saying, actually Rwanda is a small country. You can cross the whole country in 5-6 hours driving. It's a small country. When I came out, the very first night I found out my parents, everybody I left behind was killed. My mom, my dad, my 2 brothers, my grandpa, my grandma, my aunts, my cousins, many, I still have few, my uncles, I still have 1 out of 8 uncles, and my friends, my best friends, my neighbors, everybody was dead. In my school of 2,500 students, 900 were killed. It was like end of the world. It is those things you cannot think it can happen in your lifetime, but it have happened. And many times I wanted to crash and die, but I would still feel that the hand of God was still there, reminding me the journey of your loved one is over, but yours is still here, and you don't know how long it will be. It might be 1 week, 1 day. No one of us know how how long we live. We can't pretend that what happened, but it will. And we don't really know. We might live another 50 years. But the truth is, we only have today to be ready to accomplish what we should accomplish, to apologize, to forgive, to love, to care about another person. And I feel like God was telling me, your life is your gift. You don't know how long it will be. And it is up to you how to choose how to use it. You have the free will. You can use it to love or to hate. You can choose to build or you can destroy. To care or not care. To be kind or to be mean. It is up to you how you use it. But if you choose to love, I am with you. Whatever you ask for, whatever help you need, I will give it to you. And of course I wanted to choose love. I literally will stop my crying. And I'm with refugees, people who have arms cut off, with machetes in their face, people who are suffering, kids who are shaking, who don't know where their parents are. And something will tell me, what if today was the end of your day? So get up and help somebody else. Get up and love, care, because that's your number one job. And I will try and just do that every day. And pray in the morning, at night, pray my rosary, ask Our Lady, my mother, to help me. And to see how God can be in your life when you don't have nothing. Maybe you have so many blessings and you don't even have to think about it or to ask for it. But when you have nothing, you are sleeping on the ground, you don't have no friend, no family, and you are asking God, you are behind, you don't have a phone, you're going to make an email, a text, somebody will hear you. And what you are asking is still coming to you. It is really that time you say, wow, God can really hear us. I remember one of the things that really just blew me away. On my letter, I wanted clothes to change. A week later, an envelope came to me in the refugee camp from a friend of mine who had gotten a scholarship in Europe, in Belgium, and she knew many people have died in Rwanda, went to school together. She put an envelope in the letter and she said, nobody told me that they saw you or they told you how you were killed. But in case you are still alive, you must at least need change of the clothes. So I'm sending this pair of jeans and a t-shirt. If it reaches you, fine. If not, somebody will use it. Somebody was able to take that and brought it to me. I am looking on my list. I have written to God, I need clothes to change. And it is here? How that can happen? It is just like, it was so happy to be able to see. And then it took me from the refugee camp. It was on my list. I wouldn't ask big things. I would just ask what I need. I would tell God, I need a bed. Like you asking a father when you're going to a boarding school. I need a bed. I need a mattress and a bed sheet and a blanket. So I guess I need a room too. And I know you can do that. Soon after, a woman in a wheelchair was the one who came to the refugee. And she told me she knew my mom. My mom had given her less than $1 25 years before. And she said, to pay back to your mom what she had done to me when I needed, I will take you home and I will give you a home to stay until you find a job. I didn't know this woman. I really did this to kind of discourage her. I said, look, I have many people I know here, so I cannot come alone. She said, anybody you want. I took 10 people with me, just to kind of protect myself. Who is she? Before she got to sell me. And she said, I will take them for the sake of your mom, not for you. I don't know you. She took us all to her home, and she really actually had a beautiful home next door to the United Nations, which a month later I found a job in the United Nations. 4 years later I moved to United States, continued to work with United Nations until 2006 when I wrote my first book, Left to Tell. And I remember when I was writing, that bad voice was still there. Don't write who you think you are. You can't publish. There are many Americans who are trying to publish, so you, coming from that tiny country in Africa, you can't. And I will listen to that, because it feels like you being smart. And then when I'm praying, that hopeful voice will come and say, just do your part, and complain later that you don't have a publisher. Just work on your part. You know how many people who say they can't find a job when they don't even have a resume? How do you complain when you have not even done your part? oh, no jobs, you can't find any job. Have you tried? No, because, well, you can't find any job. Just do it. Just try. Let somebody say no, and go somewhere else if they say no. So I went and wrote the book. I didn't know how it could happen. And 3 days after I finished the book, I was praying for 3 months, fasting, just to keep up my strength, praying the rosary every day. 3 days after I finished, when we in a workshop, I just never forget this time because it's one of those miracles, you know, that I still love God for, and I mind the people. God doesn't love me more than He loves you, and He loves somebody on the street, anybody. So He gives us all His blessings when we ask. But 3 days later, I came to a workshop. I remember I came out. I'm praying just to find somebody who can show me how they publish books. And because my friends have told me, write a book, because we like to share your message with our parents. So 3 days, I remember I came out of a workshop, and there's a man standing outside, and there's a long line going to him. So I went to look what he's telling people. All I can see people are crying and happy, laughing. I'm like, what is he telling people? Something said, well, join the line and see. I went online. I'm going to see what he tells me. When I reached about 10 people, I realized everybody had a book. He was going to autograph, you know, they were going to him to autograph his book. So I didn't know who this man is, what he writes about. I wanted to run. But something was like, just buy a book and pretend to know what you're doing. I bought the book. I came in front of him. And I'm sharing the story just to show you, we all go through our own stories. But to know that when you ask and you step into hope, you really cannot know how that will happen. You just have to trust. God has many millions ways to reach out to us. So I bought a book just to look like everybody. I handed it to the man. I'm hoping he doesn't ask me why I wrote that book. I mean, I'm buying that out of 40 books he had there. And I handed it to him. He signed, I want to run. He pulled me back. He said, how are you? I said, I'm fine. He said, where did that accent come from? And I said, I'm from Rwanda. And his face lit up. He's like, do you know what happened there? I said, nice, you're asking me. I told him I knew, but everything's good, thank you, bye. I went to go, he pulls me back again. Where is your parents? Where is your siblings? Do you know there is a genocide? Do you know when we hotel Rwanda? He knew so much about the country. You know, President Clinton apologized for not coming to help you. I said, how about that? So are you Tutsi, are you Hutu? Well, he asked so quickly. I told him like in 2 minutes what happened. And he looks at me and said, what makes you smile after all you have seen? I told him, well, there's heaven. It doesn't end here. I would crash if I knew this was the end. But I just have to do my part, because in the end, we will all go. People who lived in 1800, they all died, so we will go. I just hope I can do my part. He looks at me and says, have you thought about writing a book? I couldn't tell him, like, yeah, I finished 3 days ago. I said, I thought about that. Actually, I started. Before I finished, he said, I promise. If you can find a way to tell people how you can be yourself after what you went through, I will publish a book. Who are you? How do you know how I publish books? How do you know I'm praying for that? I was lost. I have never met an author before. We wrote reports in the UN, but we didn't publish books, like as an author. If I met authors, I never knew they were authors. So I never spoke like have a friend, somebody who wrote a book, this is what you go through, never before. Long story short, I exchanged emails with this man. His children were there, much older than me. He called them and I go speak to her. You always complain about little things. Kids were like, okay, we are in trouble now. We exchanged contacts. A week later, I couldn't wait, I couldn't sleep. That somebody actually proposed me that. I called him and I told him I finished the book. He said, in a week? I said, okay, let me tell you the truth. This is what happened. I always say this, actually lies don't work. They don't sit well in the body. The same was lying to God, forgive us, it doesn't feel good. I forgive when I haven't forgiven. The same with everything. So I told him, look, I met you 3 days after. I thought you would think I have some magic. Maybe I knew you were going to help me, so I came right on the time. So he was very nice. And the next 8 months that followed, this man introduced me to his editor, to his publisher. They published the book. The book came out, I remember it was March 1st, 2006. 2 weeks later, it was New York Times bestseller. I didn't even know what that meant because I never knew what books are there, who published what. But I got to know from TVs that were calling me. If you know about 60 Minutes, they called me. I never knew them, even if I lived in the US. After they hung up, I'm like, 60 minutes? 60 minutes? That sounds like 1 hour. Who called a show 60 minutes? I called my publisher, I called them. Some people called 1 hour, 60 minutes, something called me. Oh, they went crazy. Who called? What time? Who is the producer? I'm like, why are you so excited, you people? Can you tell me what's going on? And they literally have to sit me down, like, okay, this is what happened. When people write books, they can become this, they can become this, they print this, and this is what will happen. It has been a great joy. Today, the book has been translated in more than 40 languages around the world. It's being made in a movie. It is completely, again, when I remember the beginning of this, to know again, completely, I know I will die, I will go, we will go. But to know that just a little lesson can remain behind out of this whole tragedy that can reach millions around the world, I thank God forever. And really make me respect everybody and love everybody. It is such a great joy to be able to know I can go to Japan and speak to people and we can cry for this same thing. We are the same at heart, all of us. I can go to South Africa and see people who struggled with what I went through. I can go to Australia, I can come here and feel like I'm home. It is so good to know that and to remind everybody in the world we are so the same. But before I finish, they told me you might ask questions, so if please you have any question to ask, please do. And I've been so happy now I'm writing more books. I found out actually I like writing. I have 7 books, especially about faith, because I think once our hearts are in a good place, anything is possible. Yeah. Any question? I think I said everything really. But whatever you want to ask about the country, about...
How did you manage to eat when you were in the bathroom?
The man who was hiding us gave us food. And the food he gave us because he didn't tell his children that we were there. That's how he told them he lost the key of the bathroom. Every day the kids will beg their dad, let's break the bathroom. And we are sitting there dying inside, thinking if he moves outside, they will break it before he comes back. It was like you are dying 1,000 times every day, just hearing all that. But the man will take the leftovers of the children at night, most of the time they throw in the garbage, and he will bring one plate among us. And we just eat as little as possible to literally live. Yeah, we suffered with hunger a lot, like almost like a knife cutting you. But that was much better pain to take than thinking they're going to cut you in pieces. Yeah.
What happened with the pastor and the other women that were with you? What happened with them? How did you still keep in touch?
Yeah, we are in touch, but I wish you had a close friendship. Because we live in a bathroom with us talking, so we really don't know each other. But when we meet, I'm just like, okay, I'm your sister, you can ask me anything. I feel like I'm one with them. But we can all look at each other like, who are you? Why do you laugh? Because I know you for 3 months without laughing. I don't even know the voice of you, the tone of your voice, because we never get to know each other.
And did they go through the same process, like finding God in that experience?
No. We didn't even have the same story of what we remember. The thing we only had in common was where we stayed, the time we went in, when we came out, things we ate.
The facts.
The facts. But the things I heard was completely different. They're like, no, you didn't hear this person outside of the door saying this? I'm like, no, there was nobody like that.
Amazing.
So when the 60 minutes took us, we were all contradicting each other, and I was so scared. I'm like, gosh, they're going to think I made this up. So they had actually like a therapist, psychologist there. He said, I would be more scared if you told me you had the same story. But to know that actually you all have different stories of what happened, you know, you were all trying to listen about your families more than, you know, that family, that shows us more. Because we never spoke it until then. We met for the first time in 10 years in front of the camera of 60 minutes. So it was completely different stories. And one lady who was 55 years old, she looked at me, she's like, what am I hearing that you forgive? I'm like, you don't know? I thought you were watching me going through that process. And she's like, you forgot what happened to us? What's wrong with you? So you just realize this journey was yours. It wasn't anybody else's. Yeah. Yeah. But the pastor is good. Oh, no, he died like 4 years ago, and they're all in Rwanda. 3 of the girls were really close, and I do get involved a lot in their life, whatever they're doing, projects, studies, and their kids. But others, it's just like, we don't know you, we forget about us.
I'm sorry, we don't know very much about Africa.
Yeah.
Of course, we heard about Rwanda, but we don't know profound about Africa.
Mm-hmm.
But what happened with Rwanda after that?
It's amazing. I really hope one time you can come. Now I have friends here, so I will be following up to know if you can please come to Rwanda one time on my trip. It's amazing. I mean, I remember, I'm not with United Nations anymore because I travel a lot. 2005, the reports of the UN around the world, the rate of economy in Rwanda was second after Egypt in whole Africa. And we used to be like the last. But now people are fighting just to become a great country. We know what hurt us, nobody wants to go through anymore. The new leaders have destroyed identity cards about the tribes. We are now Rwandans. They don't want anyone to speak about Hutu or Tutsis, because they know what they did to us. We look alike, and even if we didn't, why focus on that? That's what they say. We used to have about 2 universities, and it actually was that. Many people say it was 1 that was divided in 2. 2 universities in the country for like 50 years. We have 27 universities in 20 years. So people, they are calling people just work for the country. If you want to focus on hatred, we end up in another genocide and then destroy the country more. But we can choose to rise and look ahead. So I'm again in the UN in 2005 when I was still there. The rate of the city, of the capital of the city of Kigali in Rwanda, the rate of growth was #1 in the world. So every year I go like, it's just like shooting high. It is so good to see people working hard. We used to have no woman in the parliament. We have now 55 of women in the parliament. So, and what they say is that if you can do it, do it. We don't want to oppress anybody or gender or tribes. We have learned our lessons. If a woman can do it, let them do it. So men are literally helping women. Like, come and apply. You can do any job if you think you can. So it is really have changed for the best. But me, I hope I'm not being biased. No, I'm not actually. It is truly my belief. I attribute all these changes to the apparitions of Our Lady in Kibeho. She told us, no matter how bad this country will go, God will rise it again because of the faith of many people here. And this little country will be the New Jerusalem. So we have a lot of hope with that. And the president, he goes out and called every religion. He said, everybody come to the stadium, the pastor, the priest, the bishop, the rabbi, come and pray for the country. So there is like a year, like a week, they stay on the stadium, literally praying for the country. So they are really encouraging people, prayer for the country, praying for the country. Recently they were rating like corruption, I heard from the UN, that in Rwanda corruption is rated 0. And that's a big thing compared to what it used to be before, where people will ask you for money at the airport. People who are working for the government, just so that they can put a stamp, which they're supposed to. So it's rated 0. You cannot give a gift to anyone who is working for the government if you're asking for any service. We went somewhere and they were doing a documentary on my story. Americans, very happy, they brought a gift for one of the ministers who gave them the right to go all over the country. They brought him a gift. He said he cannot take it unless he sees the receipt. It have to be under $100. Like, no, you're kidding. You have to take our gift. It's like, no, it's a law. I cannot take any gift. That is more than $100. So they are very serious. And thank God the leaders changed completely. So they are fresh, they want to make things happen.
And those refugees, did they come back?
They are the ones now on power.
Ah,
Yeah. Or it was for, when you go back to the whole history, even again, sorry, it's not like I'm trying to push your faith on you. When you go to the history of what Our Lady Mary was talking about, begging the president, in the end, he ended up dying anyway by the people he was scared about. So if he had done the right thing, at least he had the promise he will be protected. So the same refugees who were outside, this is what Mary knew, they were fighting, they were getting together to try to push the incoming in the country. So once the genocide started, they threw inside. And they were fighting from the border. They took over 3 months later. So now the country is completely, everybody who turned Tutsis, but the head of the country was a man who left Rwanda in 1954 when he was 4 years old. Now he's the head of the country.
And the international community is helping now, because it was sort of amazing that in this time of
I know.
media presence, we sort of turned our back to what happened. We didn't know, or we
Yeah.
didn't want to see, I don't know.
They didn't
But
want
the
to
truth
show
is
it.
that this happened in front of our eyes, and
Yeah.
CNN 24 hours a day, but we did nothing. So
Yeah,
is it now helping?
A lot, yeah. They do, I think they do. I mean, our president keep reminding us, you know what happened, you saw what happened. Do not put your trust in other countries. So work hard to sustain yourself, no matter how little, but we'll continue to be good to people. So if they give us help, but we still have to be strong on our own. So he reminds us every speech reminding that. Clinton have come many times to apologize. Actually,
Yes.
I heard he has a house now in Rwanda. He literally come to help as much as he can. I met him and he told me, he said there's no 1 month that goes by without him having a nightmare about Rwanda. So even for his healing, he need to come and just cry that with people in Rwanda whom he could have helped. Yeah.
And what's the name of the movie?
Of my story?
Yes.
Well, it's going to be Left to Tell.
Left to Tell.
Yeah, Left to
When
Tell.
is it coming out?
I hope, so far now is within 18 months, so in a year and a half, it have to come out. Yeah. And you were asking a question? No? Okay.
My daughter Lucia, who is 13 years old, met you yesterday at a Palladium Hotel.
Oh, really?
So she came back and told me, Immaculée gave me a hug. She signed my book and said she wanted her son to marry me. She was very happy.
Oh, I remember who she is exactly. She's so pretty. I'm 13 years old too.
I just wanted to say thank you
Oh,
and tell you that my daughters are praying for the fruits of your visit.
Thank you so much. You have a beautiful daughter. And being so sweet, so kind. She hugged her, I hugged her more and more. We were at friends. Yeah, thank you. Very beautiful. What a nice name, Lucia. And being 13 years old, that is very powerful.
So you got married.
I have 2 kids, yeah. A daughter who is 15 years old. Very wise lady. Yeah, she makes me feel sad because from the beginning she felt my story. When she was 4 years old, she looked at me, she said, Mom, how come you don't have a parents like everybody? How come you don't have a mom and dad? Oh, I didn't know what to say. I told her, well, I did actually, but just in heaven, in a very nice place, you know. I have to make it nice if I don't want to break her poor little heart. Very nice place. And then she said, but how come they don't come to see you? Oh yeah. I'm like, well, when you go to heaven, you don't come back. Actually, you wait until they come to see you too. And then she started crying. I was thinking I'm resolving problems. She said, Mom, you mean you two went to leave me? And you never come back to see me? So I had to sit down and explain to her, you can ask God for things. So we're going to ask Him to keep us together for a long, long time until you have your own children, so we don't separate. God said, you can ask for what you want. And truly, it's so funny. My mom used to say, I don't know, she said many times, we get what we ask for. My mom used to say, I don't want to die. She had asthma. She's like, I just beg God, I don't want to die until my last child can help themselves. I don't want to stay mom for them. I just want to make sure that she can go to school, she can find somebody, like one of my brothers or me, can find a job on their own. Nobody have to tell them what to do, how to live after. And when she left, I was at the age of finding a job. So she kind of got her wish, not a wish, but at least God honored that. So when we're praying, you want to save your kids, really just make it clear to God. I don't want to live, not now. Yeah. And I'm going to Argentina. Please pray for me. It is so good to be in South America. It's really happy. I keep writing to my friends in Rwanda. They're like, oh my God, it's so good. Who would think that we'll be here? And just thank God and please pray for me. I continue to go around and speak, but I truly can tell you that there is always good fruit of people who just need in so many different ways. And I know we all go through our own thing, and I want to remind each one of us here, please, from what I have seen, no matter what you go through, just remember there is always hope with God. Don't give up. No matter how bad it can seem, there is always hope. And when I think about what I forgave, what was able to happen, just to remind you, if I can forgive, anybody can forgive. Thank you so much for having me.